We'll see. I was wondering like how we're going to do this last episode or so. Like, are we going to discuss that potential like manager of the season, player of the season kind of thing, or are we going to like grade Premier League clubs on how well they've done?
All 20. We do all 20.
Yeah, all 20.
Crystal Palace A.
Yeah, I think why not? Yeah.
Oh, he got something.
This is the same tier list we used right at the start of the season when we were grading summer transfers. I think only fair. I think we go by alphabetical order. We can start with Arsenal.
To me, it's an S lah. Overseeded expectations lah. I feel no way around it.
Okay.
If you put anything other than S, I feel you're just a what's the word called, delusional Arsenal fan lah. Who felt like
what do you mean? Oh, okay,
like,
to expect them to win the title.
Yeah.
In the end, they kind of like they ended the season pretty poorly. Can you say that given the situation they were in, it still was a little bit of a disappointment?
I mean, it was lah. I think, but honestly, this is the best they can do already. So if you don't give them S now, like where else are you gonna give them S?
No, I agree with S tier. Starting season expectations versus the end, I think fair lah.
Yeah.
This one is a bit weird to judge because early season expectations were that Aston Villa did have a pretty good squad. But given how it was, I think Aston Villa probably had the most roller coaster ride of a season, like to go from relegation contenders to contending for Europe all the way at the end when Unai Emery had that whole run together.
Like to me, it's still an A lah. Like I think even they have a good squad, right? I think the maximum they can do is like finish right below the top 6, the usual big top 6. Technically, that's what they did lah. They finished 7.
I agree that it's either like high B or low A lah. I think that realm. I feel like they've sort of met expectations plus a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, to be consistent, I feel like compared to where we were having them at the start, okay, I think not many of us have them in the top 6 also, right? So can't really say that they miss expectations.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I'm going very hard to decide between a B and A because it's not a average performance, I guess. Like 61 points, I think quite good for them.
I think, yeah, I agree with A also. I think the thing is like, I actually don't know if Aston Villa, like say for example, even if they have a full season under Unai Emery next season, right? I think the best they can do is still 7th also, which is kind of a weird thing to say, like that they've exceeded expectations. They had such a slump in the mid-season, but yet this is the best they can do also. I think it will be hard pressed to deny Bournemouth an S for this.
I think I leaning towards an A there.
Okay.
Just because like it's not unexpected that they survive relegation. I don't think it's like a sure they were gonna go down. Like you expected them to be in the relegation battle, which they were for a while. So like and it's not like they end very far outside of the relegation zone. It's like so it feels like they obviously did well to survive, but at the end of the day it's still like bottom 5 club, right? So I think it'll be an S if they were like Fulham like that lah.
Okay. And
I think Fulham is like a sort of similar, like come up, people expected them to go down sort of.
Manjun, how impressed were you by Bournemouth surviving?
To me, to me it'll be an S lah. Like to me, they not say clearly, but then they have arguably the biggest squad in the league, barring Southampton lah, I feel. So the fact that they made it 15 is really very good already. I mean, they made good decisions. They cleared the deadwood quick, which is Scott Parker, into a season. So I think they should get S lah for the good decisions that they made. They stuck to Gary O'Neill also, even though they have a very rough patch.
But yeah lah, I would say it's either a very high A or a low S for me lah. Bournemouth surviving is a huge surprise.
Like if you look at their squad, right, and the teams that they've beaten, I think they beat Spurs, they beat Liverpool, so no way with their kind of squad that they should beat these kind of teams to survive also. One club that quietly did quite well, stayed clear of any top of second season syndrome, was Brentford under Thomas Frank. Finished top of the 3 teams in West London.
I feel like position-wise is sort of meeting expectations, but I think the second season syndrome factor will push them towards an A for me lah. I think they've done better than I thought they would. Especially, I don't think they made that many additions to the squad. Yeah, in fact, they lost Eriksen, right? So that's huge.
I will actually give them an S tier there because I feel like throughout the season there was never once where they were in like the relegation battle. Like they have been comfortably mid-table, or like they've been comfortably mid-table throughout, right? And then towards the end, obviously now you can see it's like towards the top half. like ended up in top half of the table. And again, like you said, like they did it without their star player from last season, and like no one really saw anything going for them also. Like people expected them to be struggling a bit this season, but they're doing very well. So I will give them an S.
Okay, they finished in the top 7, I'll give them S. But I think A lah. Good efforts to them. Actually, you look at they're only 3 points off Europa League. So that's how close they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
S worthy.
S worthy. Maybe you're right. Okay, I'll give them S.
It's
3
like
points off Europa League.
Realistically
That's true.
above them do you see them beating at the start of the season? Like no none of the teams are. Maybe Brighton.
No, I was low key like rooting for them to get 7.
Yeah,
But then
I don't think it was low key. Last week you did say you wanted Brentford to get.
Oh, I did say yeah lah. I really wanted to get 7.
One team that qualified for Europe for the first time ever, and it's the Europa League, is Brighton. Many thought that, of course, Chelsea ruined their season when not only did they take Graham Potter, they also took Marc Cucurella. Some would say arguably upgraded with Roberto De Zerbi, who some also say possible manager of the year shout also. I think only apt to start with Robin.
Quite surprised. The new manager came in, did superb. Then he also helped some of the existing players there to shine also, like Mitoma, the Caicedo fella. Yeah, I think there's no other tier but S tier for Brighton. And last season, we were always like, they were the team that played well but couldn't score. So I think he fixed that problem from Graham Potter's time. I don't know how, but well done. Even the Evan Ferguson, some new young guy, gave him a chance, and I think he did really well. Yeah, Brighton is just another neutral's favorite. I think Brentford, Brighton, these two clubs are like very, very fun to watch as a neutral.
We're starting off like so many S already, then what the hell?
No, I think it's just alphabetically those in the front all did better.
Yeah, I think gotta be S lah. I think they hit their ceiling today. I think they hit their ceiling and a bit more.
But actually, if you look at their team also, yes, of course they have Caicedo and like Mitoma, nobody really saw that coming. Like if you was at the start of the season, you have no idea he was even at Brighton. But even towards the end of the season, like they started introducing all the Enciso and Dennis Undav, like these kind of players that you've never even heard of. An S from us all around. How bad of a season was this for Chelsea? Let's start with Imran.
I think it's a easy D. Got F or not? I want to go below.
Can we create like live create an extra row?
Just name the row Chelsea or some shit.
Okay, do I need to like choose the
color?
I have no idea how to do this. I added too many. Okay. Technical difficulties.
Comparing it to like one of their worst seasons in recent memory, which was like that year where they got 10th or something. So like technically not too far away from that. But just
okay.
The fact that I think this time around they lose like a lot more. I think this is like as bad as it gets for Chelsea.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were saying if only we didn't have the start of the season under Thomas Tuchel, or maybe if the season lasted another 5-6 weeks, I think there's actually a real possibility of Chelsea going down. Like you have no idea when is the next time Chelsea were going to win, given the amount that they spend, like 600 million to go from 3rd to 12th. I would say it's actually pretty hard to do in a weird way.
Never in my life I would think you go to any game every game in Chelsea are the underdogs. Like even against Forest, like what the fuck. So a bit sad. I think Abramovich should be like shaking his grave, looking at all this.
I mean, he's not dead, but okay.
I don't like seeing he's probably dead also. I don't want to put into to him, but yeah. I mean, the worst part, you're finished behind Crystal Palace. That's close to me. It's quite bad.
So that is the damning thing to finish behind Crystal Palace.
They are
behind Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace.
They are the like the standard of like mediocrity. So Chelsea is below that. Yeah, so
below mediocrity. Show. Robin, the floor is all yours.
No, I'm below the floor already. Hello, it's definitely F. Like no doubts, you guys have hit all the points. The most worrying thing is that each performance, there's really no cause for optimism. You see the way they play is, I don't know, man, very careless. The defense is crap, so open. Yeah, I don't know, man. If you're a young kid playing against Chelsea, you'll be very happy to have your debut. I mean, the Newcastle had that youngster who came on and nearly scored. He hit the crossbar. Walao, like easy game like that. So, very, very hard to be hopeful for a Chelsea fan this time. which is the worst feeling. I think even in the season when we got 10th, you had characters who you sort of can trust. Now it's like you look at Chelsea, like, wow, Thiago Silva, he's like 40. How long more can he be there? Wow, then Enzo also, he like came all the way here after so much trouble. Then he come into a piece of shit, a hot mess. I feel so bad for him. World Cup winner, then come out and finish 12th. Wow, what a joke.
Crystal Palace, we start with Manjun. You said that this is like the epitome of mediocrity.
Yeah, I give them B because they finished higher than last season. Like they were 12 last season. Then they were 11 this season, right? So I give to them. I mean, what else you expect from Crystal Palace?
It's helped a little bit this season because it seems like their reliance on Wilfred Zaha is not as much as before. Like now they have like Michael Olise and Ebereki Eze. So I would lean towards B for this one.
Before you guys mention all that, I was still thinking of giving them A. But
Wow.
Oh, okay. I
Because
mean,
it's
yeah, you
like-
can make your case for A also.
I don't know,
How long
feels
more
like
can they be mediocre?
I don't know. No, but that's the thing. Like you don't really expect anything from them, right? You expect them to finish bottom half of the table. It's just how low or how high in the bottom half. Number one, and number two, they never really spend any money, right? Like over any of the transfer windows. So their score also never really improved. So you would expect them to like drop off eventually, but I think like, maintaining where they are now, it's like, or like even slightly improving is quite impressive.
On average, that's a B for Crystal Palace. For this club, I can't believe that they've done it again, but they survived on
With a
they
damn nice
survived on the
goal.
last day again. Yeah, I don't know how many more times they can keep doing this. Everton were the lucky victors of Survival Sunday. Of course, Leicester and Leeds were the ones who dropped in the end.
But technically, their squad should be like strong enough to survive. Like if you compare it to like Bournemouth and like Southampton, I wanted to give them a C because like of course it's a random 5-1 win against Brighton that saved them. No, I give them a D lah.
Okay.
It still sucks to be like Everton's level, like stature of a club, but then to be struggling until the last day. I think it's still quite bad lah. So I give them a D lah.
Okay, Inman.
Yeah, same. It's an easy D for me. It's like they should never be in that position. Even though, like, if you compare it to like previous season, okay lah, they sort of are in a similar position in last season. But last season was never meant to be like this also lah. So now it's like 2 seasons in a row already. This is literally as bad as it can go, barring relegation.
We will start with Manjun because he did predict Fulham to go down.
I think I'll give them a A lah for Fulham.
Okay.
Okay, first of all, right, I think Mitrovic stepped up lah. Like I didn't expect to get any more than 5 goals in a season, but I think he had a stretch like 5 goals in 5 games. Yeah, something like that lah. So kudos to him. Other than that, I don't think any of us, no matter how good you think they could perform, will ever be like go in like the top 8 or top 7 lah. So this is probably their sitting as well lah. So I think it's a solid A. Like they sort of like separated them and like Bournemouth and the Foresters lah.
Yeah, I think it's an A because I didn't have high expectations for them. And I don't think they signed a lot of inspiring players at the start. A lot of unknowns. Then suddenly got one Willian. But then like all these players, Sean, they really did really well. Willian was a surprise. The Palinia was a key player.
Yeah, I think quite solid. I think people were expecting them to be fighting relegation, I think. I think nobody could have seen this coming. I think at some point they were even fighting for like top 6 or
Yeah.
or what,
was
like in the first half of the season, right? Yeah. And yeah, so I think it's I want to give them a S.
The few good points were there. I mean, yes, Mitrovic did adapt well to the Premier League, but I think it's also during his 8-game match ban, it seemed like the team were able to still function pretty well without him. Like, yes, of course, we were missing some goals and all that, but some goals came from other players also. Mano Solomon had like that run of like 5 or 6 games in a row where he was scoring. So I'm a bit worried that this is squeezing the maximum out of the Fulham squad this season already, but we'll see. I mean, there's obviously the summer to still recruit. So we're going A for this. These 2 teams start with L, and they really had L season. We start with Leeds United with their American Revolution under Jesse Marsh. Didn't go well.
Yeah, honestly, I was still thinking like, okay, like give them a C cause it's not that this is unexpected. So it was a shit season, but not totally unexpected. But I feel like I'm gonna give them a D, right? Just cause they changed the manager so many times. So, so I mean, don't know. Feels like it's like a bit aimless or don't really know what they're doing, or like I don't know what their board or management is thinking, like doing that. It's just like keep firing people, hiring people, then I mean this is what you get. So if you had stuck with like one manager, you went down, I would have given them a C or even two managers, but they got three, right?
Yeah, I'm also struggling between those two ratings because we kind of expected them to go down, or I did. We saw their decline, so it's not a surprise that they are so poor.
Yeah, I think it'll be D also. I mean, it's not F level. They did
It's
give you a good
no
shot.
one, no one else is F level.
No one F level.
So now we're just renaming this level the Chelsea here.
Yeah.
I mean, don't know. I mean, technically they did spend money in the summer, right? They bought like all the Mark Roca, the Tyler Adams, all those.
Yeah.
Could do well, could not do well. Big project here, project there. But now they bought one stupid striker from Hoffenheim for like quite expensive, right? Yeah, I don't know. I never seen play. Or I don't know where the fuck he go. But yeah. And I mean, I thought they would survive when they signed Weston McKennie lah. Like
Yeah.
I thought he was some savior level, but apparently not. He's not very good also.
Yeah.
So
Apparently the Leeds fans call him a fat bastard. So that's what they think. Leicester. The relegation, of course, brings to an end a 7-year run in which they won the Premier League, got into the Champions League quarterfinal, won the FA Cup, on the Community Shield, and now it ends in relegation.
Italy loves company. Yes, join me in the F tier. Leicester, definitely. I think it's F tier because even if we predicted they were going to be bad, did not believe that it would be relegation bad. At most bottom half. But even then, I sort of had mild hopes that they were going to be okay, mid-table, Players are still strong enough, but somehow nothing worked.
Yeah, I think unfortunately has to be a F tier because no one saw this coming. People are still, like every other season, we're saying they still can push for top 6, they still can like push for, or like minimally you expect them to be in the top half of the table, and then if they do well, they can get into Europe. So I think that's where they were at. So going down like this, right, it's like even more shocking than Everton if Everton were to get relegated though. It's like because Everton has been there for a while. Leicester is really from up there all the way, just drop all the way down. So yeah, I think it's a F tier.
Manjun, is Leicester's relegation a bigger relegation than Newcastle's?
I think definitely lah. I think Leicester's squad is at least in stature. Newcastle's name is bigger, but Leicester's squad is superior lah, I feel, compared to Newcastle's squad back then. Like you expect this team. To be honest, it's not much of a difference in the team between this team and the one that finished fifth. I would think so lah, like 2 seasons ago. So the drop off is quite real lah. Some of the managers are fucking same. Yeah, so don't know what went wrong lah there.
Especially because Liverpool made a run for the top 4 at the end of the season, of course, ultimately fell short.
I think the past few weeks, Klopp seemed to have made some tweaks. I don't know. He seemed to have gotten better performance towards the end of the season, which takes it above a D. It was heading for a D level season when we were like hanging out bottom half or mid-table until they broke from Chelsea.
Hanging out.
Yeah. Liverpool has such a high standard that I have to still give them a C for this season.
Yeah, I mean it's a solid C. Like obviously it falls short of expectations considering last season it's like managed to go like push Man City to the last day with like I don't know, is it like 90 plus points or something again? Even if they were in the top 4 now, it'd probably be like a B or something. If you are not, it's like if you are not challenging for the title, it will be a B. If you are challenging for the title, it will be a A. If you win, it's a S.
Okay.
So now it's like, yeah. So I think like right outside, things we are like right outside the top 4, almost made it in. So I think that's like below a B like right below a B which is C .
Yeah, for me it's a D.
Okay.
I think Liverpool as a brand or as a club like the kind of standards they set the previous seasons I think that's in top 4 and title challenging, to be honest.
I think for Man City, just in case people start to think about like, whether they're going to win the FA Cup or Champions League, take that aside, just their Premier League season. Can you ever give Man City an S?
I don't think so. Just because they set the standard so high and they've been winning it every season. It's like if you think back to when Man U was winning the league consistently also, you wouldn't give them an S in the end of the season because it's sort of expected for them to be around there already. So it's like the fact that they have been successful so much, right, that you can't really give them an S because they can't really outperform themselves anymore. S is when you really have like a breakthrough season. I think they will get an S if they get like 100 points. So I think it's a solid A for me. That like there's no case at all for an S.
But I feel like the way they managed to fight back is super impressive. They pressure Arsenal and they stayed calm after that. How do you not give the champions an S tier, right?
I think if to get an S tier, right, they probably would have finished Arsenal off like 5 games earlier.
Luckily, we don't have any Man U fans here, but I noticed there's a little bit of a gap in terms of how Man U fans see their season and non-Man U fans see their season. For Man U
really,
fans, a lot Man U fans seem to be
Yeah, what's the
really
deal?
impressed with their season, whereas everyone else is not really that bowled over by it. Like a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Casemiro should be like Player of the Year. Eric Ten Hag should be Manager of the Year. How Manager of the Year? Like how impressive is this?"
Okay, I never talk to any Man U fans, but I don't think they expect them to really challenge for title this season. So the fact that they go so close, right, and they still top like solidly top 4, I think is a A standard kind of season. Eh?
I agree lah, especially with all the drama at the start. With the Piers Morgan interview with a certain CR7.
I want to give them a B, just cause, right, like
Yeah, Man U.
Yeah, lor, just cause we are
Just because they're Man U.
I mean,
just
that answer
like,
is also acceptable, also. But okay.
yeah, but I'm like looking at the past few seasons, right? The thing is, they've just always been around there. It's like they go in top 4, they drop out top 4. It's like every other season, it's like they in out, in out, in out. But generally, they're in Europe. It's just like which part of the Europe they're at. And even some of the seasons they even end up like second. So I think that the expectation coming into this is, even though we didn't put them in our top 4, but their expectation for a club like Man U is to minimally be in the top 4.
But I think the main reason why I'm putting Man U in B is because Newcastle made it into the Champions League also. And I think having seen that kind of comparison, like not saying that Newcastle, but if you look at Newcastle's squad, it's not a Champions League squad. So if that kind of squad can make the top 4, I think Man U is about par. Slightly disappointing that they only just made top 4. Okay, so having spoken about Newcastle, Manjun, Newcastle in the end finished 4th. But I think this would have been beyond your wildest dreams to have achieved it so early.
Wow, completely. I think that's why you say it right. Like it's not a Champions League squad. To me, it's not close. And I'm so happy that we didn't have to like play until the end of last game of the season to fight for the top 4. Thank the Lord for that. So, but anyway, as we've been safe, thanks to Southampton also. Yeah, it will be an S lah. I don't think any of us also predicted us to be top 4 or even top 5.
I don't think anybody predicted Newcastle to be in the top 6. So,
that's quite sad. But yes.
But I think more importantly also is like how fast the turnaround is. When you compare it to last season, when what's his name? Before Eddie Howe took over, they were just like languishing in the bottom half of the table, don't know what they're doing. It's damn insane. And they did it even without buying a lot of players, I think. So like this one, they did it in actually a sustainable way also, and with like good coaching, which made it like all the more impressive.
Yeah, it's 100% S tier, easy. It's crazy lah. Newcastle did a crazy good job.
Especially like you see the players playing the way that they are playing. Of course, like Joe Linton now no longer. Remember when everyone was still laughing at him as a joke and all that? Now he's like, wow, some midfield enforcer like that. And Miguel Almiron cannot stop scoring also. Nottingham Forest, also another one that's a little bit hard to judge. Surviving is already a good thing. But having spent so much money, does it count towards or against Nottingham Forest though? Because yes, they spent so much money, they brought in like 23 players, like an entirely new squad. Does that make their achievement more amazing, or is it a case of because they spend so much, they should have gotten it together?
Well, I think I will put them in. I feel like they are A again just because of the managerial situation. Like, because, okay, back to your point of like the money thing, I think it sort of worked against them because it's not just spending money, but it's how you spend it. And everybody can see that buying like freaking a completely new squad is a bit like going backwards in terms of squad development, because you have to start from scratch again. You have to like build your squad up from scratch, and that's not the squad that brought you up from the championship, right? So it's like a totally different team, like different motivations, and like you don't know how the new players are going to do and all that. There's so much uncertainty coming in. So the fact that they managed to survive, I think it's like quite commendable. And the thing is, they did it without freaking firing their manager. They just like stuck with him. They're like, whatever lah, he brought us up. If you're gonna go down, then we're gonna go down together. So I think that's like overall quite a good season for them.
It took a while, but some players like Morgan Gibbs-White and the Awani, I don't know if is he a signing, the new striker? Yeah, so it took him a while to start scoring, and then the last few games he couldn't stop. Right, at the start of the season, I still thought it was like Jay Lings would be the savior.
Where the hell is he now?
Yeah, correct. So I think it's a great achievement lah. Nottingham Forest, or a crazy club. So I'll give them an A also.
Wow. I actually I don't have bias. I'm gonna give an S.
Oh.
Wait, but okay,
The fact
sure,
that they
go
had no
ahead,
fuck-
say your case on
the
this, but
fact
okay,
that they had no fucking team coming up. Then they overhaul their fucking team and say this is gonna work. Then no one thinks it's gonna work, but it fucking worked. S for me lah. 40 points
I mean-
are more safety.
I mean,
They took
okay,
38 points. Took 38 points.
for the drama and the theatrics, S. But if you really
Results.
think about it, then I would say A. I would even say maybe between A and B because
Yeah.
because of the riskiness of their strategy. I mean, I appreciate the fact that it did work because, of course, if many people were saying so, the amount that they spent like was way more than the revenue that they actually earn from being a Premier League club. Like if they were actually go down, it's possible they have to sell all these players, and then maybe we're talking about double relegation. So risky as hell strategy. I'm glad for them that it worked. And it really took until towards like the last two months for it to really start to have results come their way. The worst move of this entire season was appointing Nathan Jones. Like basically he came in, stung the place out. That was enough to like cause them to like completely drift towards the end of the season. I mean, for Chelsea and Spurs, when they drift, it's like, okay, they drift into mid-table. But if you're a struggling club and you allow it to drift, you'll definitely be going down. For me, I think Southampton is F, but we'll defer to Robin, who is like seemingly the gatekeeper of the F tier.
I welcome more joiners. The next club feels like a one also, but yeah, I don't know, because we kind of expected Southampton to be there or thereabouts. So to give F feels harsh, but I think it's the case for F is that the way it happened, like they were so poor, like unbelievably bad. And their strategy is like the youngster strategy, right? Is the one that also backfired on them. So yeah, I think because of the way it happened, right, it becomes an F. Yeah, or a D minus.
Okay, to me it's a D lah. I mean, like what Robin said, like they signed like during the summer, they just bought like youth players from Man City. So I don't know what's going on there. Like, do you expect to like be like Premier quality right away? So a bit sus lah, their transfer scheme. So I mean, technically, like, do they expect to do well? If like, expect to struggle, then they struggle lor. So I think it's a D for me lah.
The F part is just the way they, like you said, or the way the club handled the situation. It's like, okay, you expect them to be there, but what the club does, like, will it improve or make it worse? So they made it worse. It's just that you can't really make it much worse than bottom of the league. So it's like they sort of hit the bottom already. Then no matter what the club did, right, like you can't go below the bottom. So I think yeah. So I think it's like a D just because it's not really an unexpected result.
I guess we got to go past Robin here to ask whether Spurs also deserve to join them in F.
I'm very tempted to lah, but they are above us, so it's cannot.
Okay, I mean, but there was a lot of people above you, but okay.
It would be very emotional for me to put them F, just because of the way Conte just imploded and destroyed brought down the whole shit with him. But I cannot give them an F lah. I think it's still a D minus. It's the same as Southampton. Like, you kind of expect them to be around there fighting for Europa, but the way they crashed and burned at the end was a bit dramatic. That made them feel worse than it probably is.
I think it's a solid D. Can't put them F because they're not even in the bottom half of the table. And
Okay.
yeah. And you sort of like, okay, to be fair, right, at the start of the season, right, we put them in the top 4. A lot of us put them in the top 4 just because last season they were in the top 4. Oh yeah. So like to drop out of Europe completely is like very bad, but I don't know. The way they do it again is comparable to Southampton. In the way the management fire the coach, don't have a replacement, the next person even worse, those sort of things. Because it's like in a grading scale, right, if it's below expectations, you just give them a D though.
Oh, actually, I feel they fucked it up. Like truly, So I'll give them an F lah. Really, like you said, Conte, you have a top 4 squad. You brought in good players. You brought in like Basuma, don't know, like Richarlison, this kind, and you still finish out the fucking top 7. So I think this is a failure lah. It's straight up lah.
Next, West Ham.
I mean, they brought good players, Paqueta, Scamacca, Kone. I think it's a C lah. Like West Ham haven't been doing very well ever since that season lah. They're like 5th or 6th. Yeah, so C for me lor.
Yeah, so I think it's just a C lah. Very average season. It's probably where they belong, to be honest.
Last but not least, Wolves. At some point in the season, they were looking a little bit dangerous in terms of relegation.
like it's like a very meh season, you know. The only exciting part was that they were in the relegation zone or that they were bottom and then they managed to get to where they are now. La. But again, where they are now is sort of where they are expected to be, you know. It's like, okay, lor, here, lor. And in fact, some of the previous seasons they did quite well. It's like 10th, 7th. So like now it's like drop off slightly below, but I don't know. I'm fine with either B or C. I can't really decide.
Okay, so that is our overall table in terms of reviewing the last season for all these 20 Premier League clubs. Of course, we will be predicting our Premier League table next season when, of course, there will be 3 new teams joining the Premier League. Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton Town.
Don't need to watch that game already. Away day at Luton, don't need to watch it. Confirm.
Well, it feels very surreal. Okay, obviously Luton have never been in the Premier League before.
Luton needs a new stadium, is it? Something like that.
No. They have to upgrade their stadium to meet Premier League standards. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But then if we can hold the Tiger Cup in the Jalan Besar Stadium, why they cannot?
How many million people watching the Tiger Cup?
I think the question is, right, will Luton Town get more points than Derby County that year?
Wow.
Yeah.
That is the question.
I
don't know how many points was it. I don't know how many points was it. Was it like 11
it's hard
or 12?
to beat. Derby was 11 points only.
Oh really? Yeah.
You
only get more than 1 win. And which team and which team will it be? Probably not Newcastle anymore. Thank the Lord.
So that is always like a pub quiz question. Like in the season where Derby had 11 points, they only beat one team. Which team was it?
I watched that fucking game somewhere. It's how fucking hell. I thought never. I remember the last time we were still talking in secondary school. No way it happened. Still fucking happened.
Then burn your jersey after that.
This is the reason why I never bought a jersey ever since then. What the fuck?
You contributed to 30% of their points that season.
Still 1-0 and never score against them. What the fuck? Hey, so you're gonna subscribe to Champions League this season? Next season? So are you gonna subscribe to Champions League? No, okay. Because there's no reason to.
Yeah, lor.
Okay. So how long do you wait to say that?
What the fuck? What the fuck? Even Liverpool is like, no.
You wait the whole season to say this.
Yes, correct.
Must be safe first.
Not just like he's waiting this entire episode to say that also.
Aiyo.